Your child's jaw tightens, the voice gets louder, the eyes go somewhere else. And in that moment, the 3 seconds before the whole thing collapses, most parents do one of two things. They brace, or they react. What this investigation is going to show you is that both of those responses have a documented history. And neither of them is the one that works to stop a child's temper tantrum. 3 civilizations figured out what to do. What is it, you ask? Hold that question, because the answer changes what that moment looks like completely. Personal note here. As I continue to do research, what I'm starting to call parenting with knowledge is that most of the techniques used in my upbringing, and most people of my age group, was done in pure ignorance. Few parents knew a different way to raise kids other than with a heavy hand. If your child is having tantrums and whatever methods you've tried to stop them haven't worked, then follow this documentary closely, as I promise you. Most of this you've never heard before, and you're going to get a new perspective that will leave you with hope. Let's start. In the ancient city of Nippur, in what is now southern Iraq, the Sumerian civilization of Mesopotamia left behind thousands of clay tablets pressed with the world's first written records of household life and childhood education. Archaeologists studying those tablets have documented something that every parent today will recognize immediately. When a child in the Sumerian household was non-compliant, when they pushed back, refused a direction, or escalated into disruption, the documented adult response was almost always the same: louder, firmer, more forceful. Historians of ancient Mesopotamian family life have recorded that this was not considered cruelty. It was considered an order. The child's emotional disruption was understood as a threat to the household's function, and the response was aimed at ending it rather than understanding it. Developmental psychologists, studying what happens inside a child's brain during emotional escalation, have documented precisely what that approach produces. When a child's brain enters what researchers call a stress response cascade, the biological sequence triggered by perceived threat, the amygdala, the brain's alarm system, takes over completely. The part of the brain that handles language, logic, and the ability to receive instruction goes offline. A louder command at that moment does not restore those tools. It confirms to the alarm system that the threat is real. The cascade accelerates. The Sumerian household was producing more defiance, unintentionally, consistently, and with no framework to understand why. That escalation trap is what the second civilization found a way to break. Picture a training courtyard in feudal Japan before sunrise. The air is still and cool. A boy no older than 8 stands across from his father, a samurai in his middle years, weathered and unhurried. The boy holds a wooden practice sword. His father has not yet spoken. He has not explained the lesson. He has simply waited. And what historians of Confucian-influenced samurai child-rearing have documented about those mornings is the thing that changes everything about what defiance actually is. The samurai father was not waiting for obedience. He was creating the conditions for it. Historians of feudal Japanese culture have documented that the samurai household operated on a concept called Amae, the expectation of benevolent care within a trusted relationship, the felt sense that the person directing you is safe to follow. The child in that courtyard was not expected to comply because authority demanded it. He was expected to comply because the relationship itself had been built to be trustworthy. And when the father finally spoke one syllable, calm and certain, the boy moved, not because he feared the voice, because he trusted what was behind it. Researchers studying compliance in children have consistently documented this same finding across every culture and era examined. Children comply most readily, not when the authority figure is loudest, but when the relationship behind the authority is most secure. The Mesopotamians were confirming the alarm. The samurai household was quieting it. Same moment, opposite approach. Documented outcomes on opposite ends of every measure that researchers have since tracked. If what you are learning right now about why your child pushes back is giving you a new way to see what is happening in your home, please take a second to like and subscribe. It is genuinely hard for the algorithm to find the parents who need this kind of investigation. That one click costs you nothing. It helps the next parent, who is standing in the same place, find this. Thank you. Researchers at the Harvard Center on the Developing Child have documented the biological mechanism behind what the samurai educators were practicing by instinct. When a child's brain is flooded with cortisol and adrenaline, the stress hormones of perceived threat, the alarm system has taken full control. What brings it back online is not a command. It is not a consequence. It is co-regulation, the documented process by which a calm adult nervous system sends a direct biological signal of safety to the child's alarm system. A lowered voice, a slowed body, a face that is present rather than alarmed. These are not techniques, they are signals. And a child's nervous system reads them before language, before logic, and before any instruction could reach the part of the brain capable of acting on it. The child who looks you in the eye and says no is not broken. Their alarm system is activated, and the alarm system does not respond to authority. It responds to safety. Here is what that means for the specific moment in your own home this week. Before your next instruction to your child, especially in a moment of rising tension, stop for 3 full seconds. Make eye contact. Let your face show that you are present, not managing them, not already frustrated, just there. Then give the direction. Researchers documenting what they call relational priming have found that this 3-second pause before a request measurably changes how children receive what follows. Not because of the pause itself, because of what the pause communicates to the alarm system that is scanning everything you do before it can hear a single word you say. Take 2 minutes right now and find out which of the 4 inherited patterns shapes how you respond when your child activates your own alarm. With the help of some powerful AI technology, I've created a remarkable pattern identifier that you can use for free. It's a quick quiz assessment designed to help parents uncover the parenting patterns they may have inherited. It reveals where those patterns may come from, how far back they can trace through your family history, and most importantly, how recognizing them can help you build a healthier, more positive relationship with your child. The link to the free quiz is in the description below. Take it and come back, because the third civilization in this investigation is where the full picture lands, and you don't want to miss it. In the ancient Egyptian household documented in papyrus records, household management texts, and the wisdom literature known as the Instructions of Amenemhat, recorded more than 3,000 years ago in the city of Memphis, scribes preserved something historians have since noted, aligns almost exactly with what developmental science would not formally name until the 20th century. The Egyptian wisdom writers recorded that the precondition for any meaningful correction was not the severity of the instruction, not the authority behind it, but the quality of the relationship within which it arrived. Egyptian children in stable households were documented as remarkably cooperative, not because they were afraid, but because the relationship structure gave the correction a place to land. Developmental researchers, studying authoritative parenting, the approach that consistently shows the strongest child outcomes across every culture and era examined, have found that the single distinguishing factor is not warmth alone and not structure alone. It is a structure delivered inside a relationship the child experiences as fundamentally safe. The Egyptian wisdom writers were describing that combination 3,000 years before the research terminology existed. Then comes the biblical layer that names the entire mechanism in a single word. The book of Proverbs, chapter 22, contains a verse most parents have heard so many times it has stopped landing with full weight. Train up a child in the way they should go. The Hebrew word translated as train is Chanak, meaning to create a taste for, to awaken appetite from the inside. Biblical scholars at Blue Letter Bible and the Theological Wordbook of the Old Testament have traced this word to its agricultural origin, the practice of a midwife who would crush a date and place it on the palate of a newborn to stimulate the sucking reflex to awaken an internal desire that would sustain the child's life. Ancient Hebrew wisdom was not describing compliance, it was describing appetite. The goal was never a child who obeyed because they had to. It was a child who followed because the relationship had built something in them that genuinely wanted to. Here is what it actually looks like in practice. The first, second, is for your own body. Before you say anything, take 1 breath and check your own shoulders. Check your own jaw. If your body is tight, your child's alarm system will read that tightness as confirmation that the threat is real and the cascade will accelerate before you open your mouth. The goal in this first second is not to feel calm. It is simply to slow your body down enough that it stops sending an alarm signal of its own. The second is for your face. Your child's brain is scanning your expression before it can process your words. A face that is hard, frustrated, or already done communicates threat. A face that is open, present, and steady communicates that the situation is manageable. You do not have to feel patient to show steadiness. You just have to make the choice to soften for long enough to let your child's alarm system register that you are not the danger. The third second is for the connection before the correction. Make eye contact, not a stare down, genuine contact. Say their name once, in a normal tone. That single act name, eye contact, steady voice, is what researchers documenting co-regulation have found is the most reliable signal a child's nervous system receives, that the relationship is intact, and the correction that follows is coming from inside something safe. Then, and only then, give the direction. This is not a technique for getting compliance. It is the documented biological sequence that allows your child's prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain that can actually receive and act on instruction, to come back online before you speak. The Mesopotamian household skipped this sequence and produced escalation. The samurai household built their entire child-rearing culture around it and produced willing compliance. The Egyptian wisdom writers named it as the precondition for any correction to land. The Hebrew word Chanak described it as the root from which all genuine obedience grows. What every parent who has ever tried to shout a child out of a meltdown has felt is not a failure of discipline. It is a biology problem. And biology does not respond to volume. It responds to safety. Your child's alarm system is not asking whether you are in charge. It is asking whether you are safe enough to follow. Answer that question with your body before you answer anything else with your words. If what you just heard landed, do not stop here. Because what this episode investigated is one piece of a much larger pattern, and the full picture is something most parents never get to see. There is one video on this channel that traces all of it. It is called Why Your Child is Exactly Who History Said They Would Be. Parents who watch it tell us the same thing every time, that it was the first time they could see the full picture of their child clearly. Not just one behavior, not just one pattern, but the complete inherited architecture of why their child is exactly who they are, why the distance between you feels the way it feels, and what the full record of history, science, and scripture shows actually closes that distance at the root level where the pattern lives. If there is only one other video you'll watch from this channel, this pillar video has to be it. The link is linked in the description below. Watch it next.